think my job is translating from experts to people. So I'm a health policy expert translator. And I think I've been, I had the advantage in this of having done healthcare policy when nobody cared, right? I was interested in the topic from a couple years back, maybe 4 or 5 years now.
That translating amounts to blogging 3,000 words and getting up to 40,000 hits on his blog a day. So to keep his sanity, he cooks.
But I got into cooking a couple years ago in DC when wasn't that long after I moved here and I'd been through a breakup or whatever. I needed something to do that wasn't blogging, because it turned out that was a extremely relaxing thing. I mean, it's a bit like sort of carpentry for the yuppie set. You get to do something with your hands, take your mind off work, and actually create something. The problem is I have a tendency to make my pleasure my work over time.
Sure enough, that hobby led to a bi-weekly food column for the Post, Gut Check. He puts the emphasis on eating right, which he says is just as important as fixing healthcare.
But it is important, right? If you care about healthcare and you care about climate change, the production of food, this is sort of intuitive. We eat a lot of food. Clearly that's going to be a big cost, is part of it. And one of the nice things about food is that unlike trading from a Hummer to a Prius, or if you have to commute 25 miles riding a bike, it's something that is actually pretty easy to manipulate, right? I mean, I can decide to eat pasta and not steak, or I can decide to eat lighter rather than heavier. And so I think it's a space where you can connect pretty easily with people because it is part of their sort of everyday lives, and and people can make changes if they want, but first you need the information.
But explaining health insurance is not so easy or appetizing, he says, and the debate has veered off into all the wrong places.
The great lie of healthcare reform is not death panels. It's not that it's going to kill your grandmother or cost $1 bazillion. It's that we're not talking about all that much. There's a creeping modesty here, which is not recognized, because fundamentally the media doesn't report things all that well. I think that somewhere along the way things are not being translated accurately or correctly. We don't tend to report just every crazy thing somebody on the street corner says, but here we do, right? We're reporting the controversy, we're putting crazy people at town halls yelling about Hitler on the TV. Healthcare is pretty simple. A bunch of other countries have it. It doesn't suck like ours sucks. It's not expensive like ours is expensive. 47 million people aren't uninsured. And so you just look at it and you say, okay, well, we can do this better. And if we don't do it better, we're all going to go bankrupt, and 10,000 people are going to die unnecessarily every year. And, we're going to have all the problems we have now.
Tough stuff to be sure. But then again, a good meal can take some of the edge off. And that brought us to our 5 quick questions.
Favorite restaurant in DC?
Plana Cafe if you're having dinner on a Wednesday, but Comey if you have some money to burn.
Favorite spot for happy hour?
Bar Pilar.
Favorite DC attraction?
Politics and Prose.
First thing you read in the morning?
My email where crazy people yell at me.
And your favorite person to watch under 40 in DC right now?
I think Johnny Moniz, chef at Comey, is probably America's greatest genius currently living.
And we'll head to Ezra's favorite DC spot, Politics and Prose, for next week's Unplugged Under 40. We'll talk with 25-year-old author Nick McDonnell, who's just published his 3rd novel, An Expensive Education.
How was lunch, by the way?
Great. We were at Brasserie Beck, one of my favorite spots in DC.
And did Ezra give that a rating, or did you?
He's actually a vegetarian, and I didn't realize that when I made the lunch reservation, so I think I could have picked somewhere that he would have preferred more, but it turned out.
Looked like a great salad, though.
It was.
Kaylee, thanks very much.
Thanks, Bob.